free. And it's incredibly powerful. It's so darn hard to use. I can never figure out how to do anything except stream. That's it. I can't do anything else with it without spending an hour trying to figure out what to do. It's complicated, really complicated. But it's a great streaming program. So we're streaming on YouTube. And let's get the chat. And the chat's missing, darn it. There it is. Okay, all right, could be worse. All right, oil, oil, oil. So this oil trade that we're not trading anymore has been working lately. It's had a couple of days where it, as a range trade, it's been hitting its targets. It's been hitting its darn targets. Um, but I asked everybody, and everybody said, we don't want to trade this oil trade anymore. They don't like it. But we are here waiting for the open. So this is, I'll probably trade it at the moment. So the setup, it's a range trade. And we call it oil new open range. Oil new open range. There it is. Right click it, rename it. Today's the 18th. Load it. So the range starts at 859. Ticks above the range are 1, ticks below are 1. Show the range graphics on chart. We end the range at 90040. 8 tick target, 20 tick target, 15 tick stop. If it hits the first target, go to BE minus 4. All right, BE minus 4. I'll trade this in one of my prop accounts reluctantly. The one we just traded in and made a couple of bucks. But it's an account that's under 50,000. It's not one of my good ones. It's not a disaster. But that's the account I'll trade it in. And then I will put a reverse continuation if I get filled on the wrong side and I know it, or we get a signal to change directions. I want to
Fully
have the
expecting US Fed
opportunity to
book
do
viewing
that.
today.
So I'll trade one position with a 25 tick target and a 20 stop for the market open. Oil opens at 9. Label it CL reverse continue. One contract, same account. Obviously, I'm not going to trade it at the same time as the oil trade. And we have our oil trade set up. All right. Then I'm watching the YM. The YM looks like it's getting ready to make a new low. Going to put a reverse continue on the YM. We do it every morning. I'll put one contract on this morning with a 40 tick target. I usually do 35 and 35. 35 target,
7.2%.
35 stop. We'll go with that. And we trade this in our funded account and we'll label it YM reverse continue. Apply it and OK it. So we have that set up. And then we'll put a magnet on for the YM, high of day, low of day, magnet. Yesterday we got caught because our stop was a little bit small. Francis got caught in a stop too small. I forgot to turn my magnet on, So when I got the blinking purple saying we're at the magnet entry, turning it on then gave me a better entry for that trade yesterday. And that was just a fluke that that happened. But we'll go for 15 ticks through the magnet for position 2. One position, target 15 ticks. Position 1 is one position, default target -3. High of day, low of day magnet, proximity is 3. That's all you really need to do. Label it YM magnet, and then choose the account you're trading it on. And I'm trading it on the same account. I'm doing the reverse continue. Apply it, okay it, turn it on. When you turn on your magnet, you get your order lines, all right? So I want to get filled. Now, we have an interesting feature in the new version, and it really matters today. The PP is in the middle, and the R1 is in the middle of the magnet. You have a high of day, but we can trade to the R1 or to the PP instead by clicking use the nearer target, and it will trade the different magnet. It's a very cool feature. If you don't check it, it'll trade the high of day, low of day. But sometimes a magnet, remember in the old version, you had to bring your orders up and down, and then you had to worry where your target was? Well, we don't want to do it that way. We want to make it so you don't have to think in a crazy way to get a trade to work. A strategy should work where it's logical and you don't have to bend over backwards to get it to work. So that's why we try to add these clever features. So you could trade for the PP as your magnet rather than the low of the day. In this case, they're so close that you could just trade the high of day, low of day. It's probably going to, if it hits the PP, it'll probably hit the low. If it hits the R1, it'll probably hit the high. But it's more appropriate when they're further apart. Nevertheless, it's a very clever feature. Thank you very much. All right, so first things first, we're watching oil. All right, we're watching oil to see if this oil trade that nobody wants to trade anymore, that's actually had quite a few winners over the past 10 days or 7 days. Um, you understand what I'm saying? It's been working a little bit better than it was 2 weeks ago. Here's our range starting to draw. So I'm just going to
US
let it
effective federal
trade
funds
this
rate
morning. I
unchanged
think
at
I'd rather be
3.61%.
filled long because we're up $1.50. I'd rather be filled long, but I'm not going to force an entry on one side or the other. Everyone's pretty quiet in here. Is everybody okay? Our next event will be FOMC minutes at 1:30. Now that's a big darn open. I wish that's a big range. That's a big range. Bigger than we usually see. 15 ticks.
New Zealand dollar falls 1% against the US dollar.
I'm still going to trade it. Whatever happens, happens at this point. I think there's a real possibility oil goes back and tests the
Order
high.
submitted.
I think we're going to get filled long. I I think oil's gonna very possibly go back and test the high. It's possible.
Order submitted.
So there's our fill. Now normally I would move my stop below the range, but I don't want to honestly give up this much on this report. Now I'm tempted to just take a profit here. Move my stop to break even if it
Order
pops up.
filled.
Trump administration is rescinding Energy Department rules that
And now,
incentivized electric vehicle
frozen
builders to meet
orders on
fuel
oil.
economy
Order
requirements.
filled.
So I'll take my 8 ticks because I'm a dunce. I probably could have left everything alone. I did have frozen orders, which is kind of annoying. I still think it's going to test the high. It's going to test the high. It's going to do it without me. I'll take my few ticks of profit on that, 6 ticks. We can watch it as we get ready for the regular market open. The one thing I would say is I think we may have to keep trading this because it's starting to work again. Why would we not want to trade it if it's working again? Trade one contract if you don't like it. Trade one contract. I think it's going to test the high. It's very bullish today. Am I going to chase it here? 95 to 08. It's 13 ticks. No, I'm not going to chase it. I'm just going to watch it.
Voice news disconnected.
Did anyone trade it besides Chantal? Was it just me and Chantal? Anyone else? Francis, you don't like it anymore. I know that. And you actually did pretty well with it. Um, Chantal said it worked yesterday. And it worked Monday. It worked Monday on President's Day. So I need to get my MNQ chart going. It's going to hit both targets this morning. That seems clear. I definitely did not manage that well. Did not manage it well. Should have just let it sit. Just let the darn trade. If you take the risk, just let it trade. So I'm looking for my MNQ chart. I need a chart for the MNQ. So we've got an extra chart here. For the market open. So we'll change our Australia chart to MNQ 0326. We have our YM chart just hanging out, waiting for the open. And on our market open
At
MNQ.
9:15 a.m. Eastern Time, we have US industrial production month on month, forecast 0.4%, unchanged from the prior, with a range of 0.8% to minus 0.2%. US capacity utilization forecast 76.5%, prior 76.3%. US manufacturing output month on month,
Look at that
forecast
change.
0.4%, prior
A little bit of change
0.2%.
in direction
US
on
industrial
oil. That
production
doesn't
year
mean
on
the
year,
trade's
prior
done.
1.99%.
Doesn't mean it's done. Now, if you would have moved your stop, above your first target, and then you were trailing, you might now be out of the oil trade, with $100, $110 of profit or so. That's possible. That's most probably what would have happened to me had I not been ultra aggressive this morning with my stop. MNQ, I'm going to throw a couple of reverse continue contracts on. So we'll change the breakout into a reverse continue, throw a couple on, and we'll do a 40 target and a 75 tick stop. From a psychological point, thinking about what oil did at the open, it burst down so much so that you would have bet your life, right, that it was going to be a short. It burst down like, what did we say, 15 ticks. And then the market totally changed direction. And 40 seconds after the open, it started pushing up on our news, on our setup. And it hit the first target and went like a target and a half. So that's pretty crazy if you think about it. The psychology of trading is the most difficult part of trading. It's the psychology that absolutely can drive you insane. Because just when you think you're being pulled in, you're getting thrown out. It's just like The Godfather. Just when you want to get out, they pull you back in. It's just like trading. That's exactly what trading does. Just when you think it's going to be a short, it's a long. It's the craziness of trading. So I threw a couple of reverse continues on the MNQ. And then we're early. We got plenty of time before this open. We have a breakout trade that we trade on the MNQ. So we'll load that up. Go to News Trader. Breakout trade, right? And you can scroll down. If you have a template, let's say you don't have a template, but you want to know how to make one. So you choose breakout trade. So you have an entry time on your trade. So the market opens at 9:30. So usually I do my market open at 9:29.59. I use a bracket of 40 usually. And I trade X number of contracts for target 1, X number of contracts for target 2. The actual target itself that I use, let's say we're going to use 30 today on target 1, and we're going to use 100 on target 2. Then I use a stop of about 125 ticks normally on the market open. And then if it hits my first target 1 stop move, I often set that to break even, BE, break even. So if it hits my first target, my stop goes to break even. Then I scroll down, I labeled the trade, breakout MNQ, whatever instrument I'm trading. Maybe I want to get rid of the vertical line on entry, that
Minor
vertical
in 5
line
minutes'
that you
time, we
see
have
on the
US
oil
industrial
trade.
production month on
You
month.
can uncheck
Forecast
it.
0.4%,
Okay.
unchanged for the prior, with a range of
You can
0.8%
uncheck
to
it.
minus 0.2%. US capacity utilization forecast 76.5%,
And
prior 76.3%. US
now I
manufacturing output
can
month on month,
go to
forecast
template. I could go
0.4%,
apply it.
prior
Go to template.
0.2%. US
Save
domestic
the
production year on
template.
year, prior 1.1%.
And now what are you going to call it? You're going to call it MNQ open today's date, 2/18/26. Now you have a template, so when you come back tomorrow, and you can ignore that V8, that's something I just do for myself. Save it, When you come back tomorrow, you've got your template. All right. Now I'm going to load my regular template, and you can load a template right on top of a previous setup. I call it MNQ new open. MNQ new open. Right click it to rename it today's date, the 18th. Load it, and my actual setup is very similar to what we loaded. 9:29:59, a bracket of 40. I am going to set the time to 0 to check the brackets. I usually do 3 contracts on my first target. And I usually do targets of 30 and 100, somewhere in there. Stop of 125 with the same break even for the target one stop move. Label BRK MNQ open. When you have an event that's 0 on the time, it'll generate the brackets right away.
Order submitted. Order canceled.
And those are manageable brackets. Highlight the breakout trade. Show vertical line on entry. I like to remove that. Put the time back to 9:29:59, and now let's watch capacity utilization, industrial production taking place. Don't forget to also put your chart on the account you're trading, and put your software on the account you're trading. That's very important. I left my software on SIM. How many times over the years have I missed out on a phenomenal trade because I forgot to put my software on the account you're trading? 20 times at least over the years, probably. The one I'll never forget, a gigantic U.S. jobs report that was so unbelievable. It was such a fantastic winter. I woke up that morning. I think my alarm didn't go off. I got to the trade room like 5 minutes before the news. I turned on the trade. I forgot to put it off a sim. It would have been like $1,000 winner. That was the most painful trade I ever missed. There was also a big Australia one that I missed. Um, that's a good question, Roz. That's your only account. It passed. So I've never had that happen, but usually you could still destroy the account and keep trading it, Roz. So
1 minute remaining. I'll be leading
is
into
anyone else having
production
trouble
month for month.
logging into Bullinox? I'm thinking that maybe you don't have an account to trade. That is probably the reason. Right. I know you passed it. Did they send you an email? Did they send you an email? Here comes capacity utilization. Um, I never had that happen, so I've never had
10 seconds.
no accounts. I'm guessing that that's the problem because no one's having trouble logging in. Here's industrial production. Watching the
Still
markets,
waiting on the data.
industrial production. I prefer to watch
0.7%,
gold on this, but
0.7% higher than forecast of 0.4%. US
industrial
stocks
stabilization
capitalization
is up.
76.2%, 76.2%, higher than
Capacity
forecast of
utilization is down. So
76.5%.
it's mixed
US
news.
manufacturing output month on month
Mixed
0.6%,
news.
0.6%, higher than forecast of 0.4%.
MNQ definitely going down a bit on the news. or is it chopping? You know, almost looks like more of a chop. This is a report we don't trade. It has not
We
moved
have
the
posted the
markets
US
in a
industrial production
tradable
January
way.
report on the feed for those interested.
That's the most important thing to understand. In a tradable way. All right. Today you have mixed news. Capacity utilization is down. It's very close, but it's down. And the industrial production is good. It's close, but good. And one of the numbers just became public on investing.com, better than the previous. So it looks like industrial production is a bit up. The NQ went down quite a bit before it changed and went up. To me, that was not a great trading event. It's an event we don't trade. I do like to look at gold on it, though. Gold's my favorite. Now, I noticed I don't have... Oh, yes, I do. Never mind.
0.2%, 0.2% compared to the original prior of 0.4%.
Don't forget, everybody, go to New, Ninja Script Output, and then minimize it. Don't worry if there's text in there. Just minimize it and save it as part of your trading room workspace. You want Ninja Script Output as an open chart. It tells you everything the strategy tries to do. So if you ever have a trade where you get frozen orders or things like that, and you want to look at what happened in the strategy, that Ninja Script output window lets you see everything the strategy did above and beyond the log and trace files. It has a lot more data than what's in the log and trace files. So it is useful. It is useful. Now, interestingly, the oil trade would not have stopped out if you had not moved your stop. It only looks complicated because we put a lot of setups on the different charts, Ranjit, but we don't use them all. And that's the thing to realize. We're not using all the setups at the same time. And it's just a question of if you spend 30 days in the trade room, that's how you learn it. If you spend 30 days in the trade room, because on YouTube, things are delayed. There is latency by about 7 seconds. So you're best off coming into the trade room if you can. All right, so we're just waiting on the open now. So let's go over one more time what our open setups are. So on the NQ, and here's how I'll show Ranjit how this is not so complicated. The average person doesn't have to trade oil and the NQ and the YM. Choose one. Start with one. You don't have to do everything that I do. I've been doing this for 8 years. Our first setup, we have a reverse continuation discretionary trade on the NQ, MNQ. Right-click the chart, click on strategy, look at the reverse continue. Position 1 has 2 contracts. The target one is 40 ticks. The stop loss is 75 ticks. I don't have to change anything else in this software until I get to the account. Choose the account you're trading in, label the trade, reverse MNQ continuation, apply the trade, okay it, turn it on, reverse MNQ, right? And then make sure your chart matches the software account that you chose. That's it. My reversal is ready to go. My breakout right-click the chart, click strategy, click breakout because it's already there. It's a breakout on the trade type. My activation time is 9:29:59. I have a bracket of 40. I choose the number of positions, number of contracts for each position. I have two targets, 30 ticks and 100 ticks. My stop is 125 ticks. And if my first target gets hit, I'm typing in BE to go to break even. That's my trade. Scroll down, choose the account I'm trading in, label the trade, MNQ breakout, breakout MNQ, apply it, okay it, make sure it's turned on, and now we have one automatic trade on the MNQ. It'll put the brackets on at 9:29 and 59 seconds. The other trade is discretionary. We're not going to do anything with it unless after our breakout trade ends, we want to enter the market again using one of these buttons, instant long or instant short. YM is our other setup. So we also have two setups on the YM. Now, just to make things even more complicated, I do like to look at magnets on the MNQ, especially to look at our new signals. So I'll add a third strategy just to make it harder for Ranjit to understand what I'm doing. And I'll put not a high of day, low of day. I'll just leave it off. The new software, I could do it off. I don't need to choose highs and lows. I can leave it off. When I leave it off, it'll give me signals for VWAP and high of day, low of day. Normally with MNQ, I'll trade two positions. I'll use a 75 tick stop. My first target will be the default high of day, low of day. Or you could just trade, make it even simpler. Just trade a couple of contracts and leave everything else default in terms of targets. Just trade a couple of contracts. So I just have two contracts. I'm looking at signals. That's really all I'm doing at the moment.
Share of Russian oil in India's January crude imports fell to the lowest since October 2022, according to data from sources.
So my signals are off.
India imported 1.1 million
Position
barrels
size
of
1
Russian
is
oil
just
in
two
January,
contracts.
the lowest since
My
November
stop is
2022.
75. And that's all I'm doing on the MNQ magnet. And again, I'm just using it for signals, just to see them. And a same account, same funded account as all the MNQ setups. So when I turn it on, I get signals, and I'm ignoring them right now. I'm only interested after the open. I'm not interested in any signals that might be created now. And then on the YM, I have a magnet. All right, YM, I have a magnet. That's what this heavy line is. These are my entries for the magnet. We also have a reverse continue set up for the magnet. But the main setup that we use on the magnet is after the open. If we head towards a higher low, we usually let it fill and take the trade. So oil, we're done with oil. I wasn't watching. What happened on oil? I wasn't watching. But oil, we're done. I'm done trading oil at the moment. We had a small winner on oil, so I'm going to remove those setups, and I'm going to minimize my oil chart and just recenter my regular charts like we always do. I'm using a stop of 55, James. I think the 40 is too small. I think the 40 is just too small. All right. Um, Above the VWAP is an important stop, really. It might be a lot of risk, but above the VWAP, I think is an important level. If it breaks the VWAP, then it may continue up. Right now we're under the VWAP, but the YM is a little bit schizophrenic this morning. It's under the VWAP, but it's bullish a little bit, not a heck of a lot. All right. I like to use market structure if I can for stops. Sometimes that means a pretty big stop, though. But it's often worth it. It's often worth it. If it breaks the VWAP, that's a nice motivation to go long, right? Because a lot of traders, they go, oh, it broke the VWAP. And they have longs above the VWAP or right at the VWAP, because remember now, the VWAP is a very good magnet, right? Ramjit, I can only tell you the accounts that our members are using and that we're using. Right now, hey, I meant to tell everybody, Bullinox has a big sale. I think Bullinox has a 90% sale right now. And the other account we're looking at, based on Nitin's recommendation, is we're thinking seriously about Lucid, opening a Lucid account, Flex. But Ranjit, we're using Bullinox, and we're having, the usual frozen orders that people get. Lucid, we're thinking about because you can use Tradeovate. Roz, I think you're locked out because you don't have an account to trade. Uh, uh, you can get into PTR, right? But you can't get in on Rhythmic.
1 minute remaining. The market on open imbalance.
And I'm not positive though, because I've
Connection lost.
never had it happen. I just lost all my connections. I heard in my headset, and now they're all back. I don't like that. We can check Bullinox after the open. So is the YM going to make a new low? That's the question on the open, or is it just going to chop around?
10 seconds.
MNQ, I never know what the MNQ is going to do.
Order submitted.
It's always a mystery to me.
Market
Always.
Order
imbalance.
submitted.
S&P
Order
500,
filled.
Buy side 156
Order
million.
filled.
Nasdaq
Now,
100, buy
the
side 2 million.
MNQ,
Dow 30, buy side 24 million. Mag 7,
it looked to
sell
me
side
like it
3
hit the
million.
first target and reversed. I mean, it hit the first target and reversed. That's what it did. It hit the first target and reversed.
Order submitted.
Now, the YM,
Seeing some move to the downside in the S&P 500.
it's way
off the back
too
of the open.
big to have a stop above the VWAP. I think it's just too much. It's too much. Now, this is a
Order
funded
filled.
account, so I chased,
Order filled.
all right, I chased my first target with my funded YM account, and we did another nice winning magnet on the YM.
Nvidia
Another
shares
nice
rise
winning magnet.
1.8% after the company to sell millions of chips to
MNQ
Meta in
has
a
been
multi-year deal.
target one reverse, target one reverse pretty much every day. Target one reverse, target one reverse, target one reverse every day. Hey, Roz, I mean, they're really quick with their tech support answering. You could just email, do a help ticket with Bullinox. My guess is that once you pay for the account, you'll be able to get in. Turning off my MNQ breakout, turning off my YM. No, I'm not. Leaving my YM magnet where it is because it'll generate signals. Look at the YM. Is that crazy? Price action. Makes a new low, goes all the way back to the VWAP after the low. Did anybody trade that YM magnet? It really was perfect. It was a perfect magnet. Did anybody else have RTY frozen orders? Anybody else have frozen RTY orders? Roz was fine. James, I would, um, James, I'm just curious. Remember what I said just before about Ninja Script, the Ninja Script output? By any chance, did you do that? Did you do that? And let me show you what I mean. Okay, let me tell you what to do right now. Let me tell you what to do. Um, hang on one second. Hang on one second. When you say you killed Ninja Trader, it doesn't matter. You can't recover what I want you to do now anyway. This is for the next time. This is for the next time. Reboot your Ninja Trader. Reboot your Ninja Trader. And this goes for everybody because if you get instances where you're having a problem, this might help troubleshoot it. All right? What I'm going to tell James everybody should do. And it's simple to do it. You just go to
Spot gold
new,
rises nearly
go to
2%.
new, go to Ninja Script output. When you click on it, you get a chart. It's like a window. And then minimize it. Minimize it. And then save your workspace. And make sure that this is the workspace you always use with your 10-minute trades. Save the workspace. Call it 10-minute trades, whatever you want to trade it. But save your trading workspace so that you have the Ninja Script output. All right? The Ninja Script output. Okay? Then, if you have a problem, like in this case, if my orders were all frozen, I would go to the Ninja Trader icon on the taskbar and bring up the output, Ninja Script output. And then you can copy and paste what's in the window and send it, for instance, to us if our programmer can look at it, it might tell us it shows everything that the strategy is doing. So sometimes it'll tell us if it's a strategy problem or an account problem or a data problem, but it just gives extra info on what's happening with the strategy at the time of a trade. Now, look, sometimes you'll have frozen orders and you're not using our strategy. The
AMD
Ninja
shares down
script
2%
output,
after Nvidia to sell millions of chips to Meta in a multi-year deal.
I think it only, I'm ignorant as to whether or not it'll show anything if you're not using a strategy. But no matter what, have it as part of your trading workspace so that if you do have a problem, you can check it. And if there's data in it, then that data can be analyzed. Absolutely, there will be data in it if you use a strategy. And you're not getting frozen orders because of the strategy. It's data. It's the data. But sometimes that lets us see where the frozen orders are coming from. That's why it's useful. It's not the strategy that's causing. There's been instances where a strategy can't keep up with a market that's so fast. But this market this morning, I don't think it was so fast. Was the RTY so fast this morning, everybody? Now, I'm done on the YM at the moment. All right. So I'm going over to the RTY. Roz, I got to take your setup on the RTY too and trade it. It's a great setup. No, so James, when you save your workspace with that chart open in your workspace, all you have to do is save the workspace once, and that Ninja script output is part of your workspace. Look, when you click on your taskbar and open all the files that are open in your Ninja Trader or available, the Ninja script output is one of them. So you only have to do it once and then save the workspace with the Ninja script output as part of the workspace. That's the catch. All right. Just watching this kind of crazy price action. It's pretty wild. Big candles. I mean, very big candles. I ignore signals when the candles are that big. You can't trade signals with candles like that. That's a 233 tick candle. That's crazy. When it's this volatile, I generally will not take signals. It's not a good time. It's not a good time. Okay, yeah, would you, Roz? Would you do that? I'd really appreciate it. Conservative is good, especially on the open. Especially on the open. So, another good open, folks. Another good open. Let's look at the YM magnet. Look at the YM magnet. And if I would just leave things alone, I would make more money. So you can learn from my foolishness. Looking at the open. Let's look at the open. Um, So let's just look and see what happened. So I'm just curious, the YM. All right, so market opens, right? Not that big a deal. We already have our magnet on there, right? Let me look at the MNQ first because it was very quick. So MNQ, there's our brackets, right? MNQ fills short and it hit the first target and reversed in like a second. So it was like a $33 trade, a $45 trade. YM, it was at the VWAP and it just started selling off at the open. There's nothing to do except watch it initially, right? It fills and then I need to just leave the darn thing alone. So I chased it a little bit, hits my first target, and then boom, hits the second target for a nice, perfect magnet. Perfect. That was a $380 trade. $380 trade. I was zero when I started that trade. Zero. That was 380. I'll take it. I'll take it. Here it is again. If I left it alone, it'd be 400, 420. There was a couple of more ticks available. That was fast. I agree, James. That was a fast one. That was a fast one. You didn't have. I was able to move it, but the average person probably not able to move that because the average person goes into shock when they get filled, right? You have to trade a lot so that you don't go into shock or go into worry mode. I wasn't. I go into worry mode in the sense that I see it get filled and I'm thinking, oh, shirt, this is my funded account. I want to get that first target hit. That's what I was thinking. That's what was going through my head. Honestly, that's what was going through my head. Now, right about here, I'm just thinking, oh, okay, it looks like it's going to fill the gap. It was up about 35 ticks, so the gap's going to go to zero, and it was fast. That's what you want to see on a magnet, bursting down. It was foolish to move the target. It was foolish. No reason to do it. Now, on the trade, we want to have the stop move automatically. I think you should move your stop automatically to break even on the YM trade or break even -4 because it's a 50 tick stop. If you don't move the stop after it hits your first target, you can turn a loser into a winner into a loser, right? So you have to. So what do you do, James, to solve that? On the YM magnet, use the target one stop move. Make it break even -3. Make it break even -3 so you don't lose money if it hits your first target. If that's what you want to do, if that's how you want to trade it. Ranjit, I'm reading what you're saying. That's very funny. I want to show you bull knocks. All right, James, you understand that, right? if you use the target one stop move under trading, yeah, it'll protect you. And you could do BE -4, but just so you don't lose if it hits your first target. It's the way that I was taught to trade. I was taught to trade. If you get your first target, you don't want to have a losing trade in general. You just don't. All right.
Order canceled.
All right. That's what we got this morning. Bullinox. I do believe Bullinox, let's take a look. I think they have a 90% sale. So if they do, PTF 90 would work, and it doesn't. Was it 89? PTF 89. All right. Bullinox has a sale. PTF 89. All right. Anybody, if you use our code, you could use our code. I'll post it if you want to. We don't make much money on those codes. But there are companies that's how they make all their money. They just push the code, push the code, push the code. They make a fortune. Just use my link to join, TJ. If you just use that link to join, we get a couple of bucks. That's how it works. All right. That's an affiliate link, and I could hide it. You know what I mean? I could hide it under a bullinox.com, but I like to be transparent. That is an affiliate code. All right. Does anybody have any other questions? Because YouTube, we're going to get out of here. Thank you for watching on YouTube. I never monitored the chat on my website. Before we go, let me look on my laptop. I'm just curious how many people are here today. Okay, a few folks are here. A few folks. So we're going to shut down YouTube. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow.